Whatever you have to do, give me this promise.
Start your engines!
I'm Furiosa!
The darkest of angels.
Hello everyone, today I am going to tell the story of Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. The story starts in a beautiful and peaceful palace called the Green Palace. This palace is full of trees, water, and food. It is very different from the dangerous desert outside. A young girl named Furiosa lives there with her family. One day, some riders from the westland and enter the Green Palace. They see Furiosa and realize that this palace has many valuable resources. The riders kidnap Furiosa and take her away from her home. Her mother follows them to rescue her daughter. Furiosa watches as her mother fights bravery against the kidnappers. After a long chase, the kidnappers bring Furiosa to a powerful warlord named Dementus. He is the leader of a large biker gang. Dementus wants power and control over the wasteland. Furiosa refuses to tell anyone the location of Green Palace. She knows that if Dementus finds it, he will destroy its peaceful life. As time passes, Furiosa grows up in the harsh desert world. She learns that survival is not easy. Every day is a fight for food, water, and safety. Demetrius begins a war against Immortan Jew, another powerful ruler of the Westland. Immortan Jew controls a huge forest called the Catiadel. During the conflict, Furiosa is taken into the world of Immortal Joe. There, she starts planning her escape and dreams of returning to Green Palace. But reaching home will not be easy. Her long journey is only beginning. After coming into the control of Dementus, the life of Furiosa becomes very difficult. She is still a young girl, but she quickly understands that the Westland is a palace where only the strong can survive. Demetrius is always looking for more power. He leads a hug biker army across the desert. Wherever his gang goes, people become afraid. He wants fuel, food, water, and complete control over the Westland. Furiosa never forget her home. Every day she thinks about the Green Palace and her family. She keeps the memory of her mother alive in her heart. She also remembers the promise she made to herself that one day she will return home. As the years pass, Furiosa grows older. She becomes smarter and more careful. She learns how the Westland works. She watches the people around her and studies how powerful leaders control others. Meanwhile, Dementus discovers a massive forest unknown as Gastown. This palace is very important because it produces fuel. Fuel is one of the most valuable things in the Westland. However, controls fuel can control armies and transformation. Dementus attacks Gaston and tracks it for himself. At first, he feels proud of his victory. He believes that his power is growing and that nobody can stop him. However, running Gaston is much harder than winning it. Resources begin to disappear. Workers becomes unhappy. Problems increase every day. Dementus starts making mistakes because he is more interested in power than leadership. At the same time, Immortan Joe watches everything carefully from the cathedral. The cathedral is one of the strongest palaces in the Westland. It has rotter soldiers, weapons, and loyal followers. Followers. Immortan Joe know that Dementus is becoming a threat. To reduce tension between them, deals are made between the two rulers. During their event, Furiosa is transferred into the system controlled by Immortanjo. For Furiosa, this change creates a new opportunity. She understands that if she wants freedom, she must be patient. Instead of acting quickly, she begins to plan carefully. She hides her true identity and tries not to attract attention. While many people around her lose hope, Furiosa continues to think about escape. She knows that one wrong move could end her dream forever. As she grows into a young woman, Furiosa becomes skilled in repairing vehicles and understanding machines. In the Westland, vehicles are extremely important because they are the key to survival. The person who controls powerful vehicles often controls life and death. During this period, Furiosa meets Praetorian Jack, a respected war driver. He is experienced, calm, and highly skilled. Unlike many people in the Westland, she showed discipline and intelligence. Praetorian Jack noticed that Furiosa is different from other. He see her determination and willingness to learn. Over time, he begins teaching her important survival skill. Furiosa learns how to drive massive war vehicles, how to defend herself, and how to survive dangerous attacks. With every lesson, she becomes stronger and more confident. For the first time in many years, she feels that she may actually have a chance to control her own future, but the Westland is cruel. Peace never lasts for long. A new conflict is coming, and Furiosa will soon find herself caught between the growing rivalry of Dementus and Immortanjo. Her journey toward revenge and freedom is about to becoming much more dangerous. As the years continues to pass, Furiosa becomes one of the most capable people in the Westland. Under the guidance of Praetorian Jack, she learns things that many people never learn in their entire lives. Every day is a lesson, every journey is a test. Praetorian Jack drives Hagwar rigs across dangerous desert routes. These routes connect important places such as the Cathedral, Gaston, and the Bullet Farm. The roads are filled with dangers. Bandits attack without warning. Rival gangs try to steal supplies. Sandstorm can appear at any moment. Furiosa travels with him and watches everything carefully. She learns how to repair engines, in the middle of nowhere. The she learns how to handle weapons. She learns how to remain calm when everyone around her is afraid. Slowly, Praetorian Jack begins trusting her more and more. Instead of treating her like a ordinary worker, he starts treating her like a partner. This is something very rare in the Westland. Trust is different to find because betrayal can happen at any time. For Furiosa, Petr- Petrorian Zack becomes one of the few people she truly respects. He believes in discipline, planning, and responsibility. These qualities help shape the person Furiosa is becoming. During one dangerous mission, Furiosa proves her abilities. When enemies attack the convoy, she helps protect the vehicles and keeps the mission alive. Her courage surprised many people. After this, she earns ever gather respect, but even though her skills improve, one thing never changes. She still dreams about the green palace. Every night she remembers the trees, the fresh water, and the peaceful life she lost as a child. The memory of her mother remains strong inside her heart. She knows that she can't stay in the Westland forever. Meanwhile, Demetrius is facing growing problems. When he first captured Gastown, she believed victory would make him stronger. Instead, meaning, meaning the city becomes a nightmare. Resources start running low. Workers become frustrated. Rival groups begin challenging his authority. Demetrius becomes increasingly unstable. His decision becomes more reckless. He starts using fear to control people. The more power he gains, the more dangerous he becomes. At the same time, the relationship between Dementus and Immortan Joe continues to de- deteriorate. Neither leader fully trusts the other. Both want complete control of the Westland. Tension grows with every passing day. Soon a small conflict begins turning into larger battles. Armies move across the desert. Vehicles filled with soldiers race through the wasteland. Explosions light up the horizon. People everywhere know that something terrible is coming. During these events, Furiosa finally decides that she can't wait any longer. She begins creating a serious escape plan. This is not a simple plan. The Westland is enormous. Water is scarce. Fuel is precious. One mistake can mean death. But Furiosa has spent years preparing for this moment. She secretly gathers information, she studies maps, she learns the safety routes, she pays attention to every detail. Praetorian Jack becomes involved in her plans. Over time, the two develop a strong bond. They trust each other completely. Together, they imagine a future beyond the Westland, a future where Furiosa can finally return home. One day, they decide to take action. Their escape begins. At first, everything seemed to go well. They travel across dangerous territory and avoid many threats. For a brief moment, it feels like freedom is finally within reach, but the Westland rarely allows happens to last. Enemies discover their movements. A brutal chase begins across the desert, where vehicles race at high speed. Bullets fly through the air, explosions shake the ground. The situation becomes worse with every passing minute. Furiosa and Praetorian Jack fight with everything they have. They refuse to surrender. However, the enemy forces are overwhelming. A devastating tragedy strikes. The dream of freedom suddenly feels farther away than ever before. For Furiosa, this moment changes everything. The hopeful young woman who wanted to go home begins transforming into someone else, someone driven by determination, someone driven by revenge, someone who will never stop until justice is achieved, and the person responsible for her suffering in Dementus. Now Furiosa has a new mission, not just survival, not just escape, revenge. The loss suffered by Furiosa changes her completely. For many years, she had lived with hope. She believed that one day she would return to the Green Palace and leave the violence behind. But after everything that happens during the failed escape, that hope becomes mixed with anger. Now Furiosa has two goals. The first goal is survive. The second goal is to make Dementus pay for everything he has done. Years of pain, loss, and suffering have built up inside her. She remembers being taken from her home as a child. She remembers losing her mother. She remembers every cruel thing that happened because of Dementus. Meanwhile, the Westland is becoming even more unstable. The conflict between Emotionjo and Dementus grows larger and larger. Their struggle for power affects everyone. Fuel becomes more important, resources become harder to find, violence spreads across the desert. Large groups of soldiers move from one territory to another. War machines fill the roads. Everywhere people prepare for battle. During this period, Furiosa becomes stronger than ever before. She is no longer the frightened child who was taken from the Green Palace. She is now a skilled fighter, a skilled driver, a skilled survivor. She understands the Westland better than most people. More importantly, she understands Dementus. She knows how he thinks. She knows his weakness. She knows that his greatest weakness is his pride. Dementus loves power and attention. He wants people to fear him. He wants everyone to know his name. Because of this, he often believes that she is smarter than everyone else. Furiosa decides to use that weakness against him. Instead of attacking directly, she waits patiently. She gathers information, she watches his movements, she studies his habits. Little by little, she moves closer to target. At the same time, Dementus begins losing control over parts of his empire. Problems continue to grow around him. Some followers question his leadership, others lose faith in him. The powerful image he created starts to crack, but Demetrius refuses to accept reality. He continues acting as if she is unbeatable. And eventually, events lead Furiosa and Demetrius toward a final conf- conf- confrontation. After years of waiting, the moment finally arrives. Furiosa comes face to face with the man who destroyed her childhood, the man responsible for so much suffering, the man she has been hunting for years, Dementus. Their meeting is filled with tension. There are no longer speeches, there are no dramatic promise. Instead, there is a deep understanding between them. Dementus realizes who Furiosa has become. Furiosa realizes that the powerful warlord warlord standing before her. She not as strong as he once appeared. Years of conflict have damaged him. His empire is falling apart. His dream of ruling the Westland is collapsing. Collapsing. For the first time, Dementors can't simply escape the consequence of his action. Furiosa finally gains the upper hand. The balance of power shifts completely. The child he once stole from the Green Palace, he has become stronger than him, much stronger. In his final stage of the story, Furiosa achieves a revenge. The long journey that began when she was a little girl finally reaches its conclusion, but revenge does not airs the pain of past. It can't bring back lost air. It can't bring back loved ones. What it does provide is closure. For Furiosa, this is the end of one chapter of her life and the beginning of another. After dealing with Dementors, her story moves closer to the event of movie. The audience now understands how Furiosa became a legendary warrior seen in that film. The movie ends by connecting her past to her future. The young girl from the Green Palace is gone. In her palace stands Furiosa, stronger, determined, experienced, and ready for the next chapter of his journey. And that is the story of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Now let's talk about the ending in more details. After years of suffering, Furiosa finally reaches the point where she can take revenge on Dementus. This is not something that happens suddenly. She spent many years waiting for the right moment. The wasteland around her has changed. Many battles have been fought. Many people have died. Entire territories have changed hands. But one thing has remained the same. Furiosa has never forgotten what Dementus did to her. When the final stage of their conflict arrives, Dementus is no longer the unstoppable ruler he once seemed to be. His power has weakened, his army is smaller, many of his plans have failed. The man who once believed she could control everything is now losing control. Furiosa, on the other hand, has become stronger with every hardship she has faced. She has survived kidnapping, she has survived war, she has survived betrayal, she has survived loss. Every painful experience has made her together. Eventually, Furiosa manages to track down Demetrius after such a long journey. The meeting feels almost unreal. For years she may imagine this moment. For years she wondered what she would say. For years she dreamed about revenge. Now the moment is finally here. Dementus understands who she is. He remembers the little girl who has stricken from the Green Palace, but standing before him now she is not a little girl. Standing before him is a warrior, a survivor, a woman who refused to be broken. Their confrontation becomes one of the most important moments in the movie. Dementus tries to justify some of his actions. He speaks about the harsh reality of the Westland. He talks about survival and power, but none of these words can urge the damage he has caused. Furiosa has hard enough. She knows actually who he is. She knows actually what he has done, and she knows that he must face the consequence. The movie show that revenge is not as simple as people imagine. Furiosa finally gets the chance she has waited for, but it does not magically remove her plan. The year she lost are still gone, her mother is still gone, the peaceful childhood she deserved still gone. However, by confronting Dementor, she finally closes the chapter that has controlled her life for so long. One of her interesting things about the ending is that it focuses on justice rather than simple victory. Furiosa is not chasing power. She is not trying to becoming a ruler. She is not trying to build empire. She only wants to end the cycle of suffering that Dementus created. After this confrontation, the story begins connecting directly to the events of the the audience starts seeing how Furiosa becomes the person known in that movie. She learns respect, she gains experience, she becomes one of the most capable person in the Westland. The ending also reminds viewer to the Green Palace. Even after everything that happened, the memory of home never disappeared from Furiosa heart. That memory give her strength during her darkest moment. If it give her a lesson to keep moving forward as the movie reaches its final scene, since we understand that Furiosa journey is far from over. This movie tells us now our story began. The next part of her life continues in Mad Max Fury Road. So the ending is not only the end of a revenge story, it's also the beginning of a new chapter. The frightened child from the Green Palace becomes a legendary warrior of the Westland. That transformation is the real heart of the movie, and that is why Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is not just an action movie, it's the story of survival, determination, hope, and the long journey of Furiosa. Now, let us talk about the main characters of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Furiosa is the heart of the entire movie. When the story begins, she is just a young girl living peacefully in the Green Palace. She is innocent, curious, and happy. She loves her home and her family, but everything changes when she is kidnapped. Most people would lose hope after such a terrible event, but Furiosa is different. Even as a child, she is brave. She refused to reveal the location of the Green Palace. She know that if dangerous people discover it, her home could be destroyed. As she grows older, she becomes stronger with every challenges. The Westland teaches her many difficult lessons. She learns how to survive. She learns how to fight. She learns how to drive powerful vehicles. Im- importantly, she learns how to keep moving forward even when your life becomes painful. One of the best things about Furiosa is her determination. No matter how many people appear, she never gives up. Even after years of suffering, she continues chasing freedom and justice. By the end of the movie, she becomes one of the strongest people in the Westland. Dementus is the main villain of the movie. He is the leader of a hug biker gang. At first, Galens He appears powerful and confident. He enjoys giving order and controlling people. Many people fear him. However, Dementus is not a simple villain. He is intelligent, but he is also reckless. He often allows his emotions to control his decisions. They create problem for him throughout the story. One of the biggest weakness is pride. He wants everyone to admire him. He wants everyone to fear him. Because of this, he sometimes makes poor decisions. Every though he gains power, he struggles to keep it. Throughout the movie, Demetrius is suffering from many people, especially Furiosa. The conflict between them becomes the emotional center of the story. Praetorian Jack is one of the most respected warrior in the movie. She works as a war driver. His job is extremely dangerous because he must transport valuable supplies across the wasteland. Unlike many people around him, Praetorian Jack remains calm under pressure. He does not talk unnecessary. He focuses on his work and responsibility. When he meets Furiosa, he noticed her potential. Over time, he becomes her mentor. He teaches her many important skills. He helps her becomes stronger. He teaches her how to survive. He teaches her how to think before acting. The relationship between Furiosa and Praetorian Jack becomes one of the most important part of the movie. Many viewers consider him one of the most likable characters. His influence helps shape Furiosa into the warrior she eventually becomes. Imogen Joe is one of the most powerful rulers in the Westland. He controls the cattle. The cattle has water, food, weapons, and shoulder. Because of these resources, Immortal Joe has enormous influence. People obey him because he controls things they need to survive. Immortan Joe is a strict leader. He believes in power and order. Unlike Dementus, he usually thinks carefully before making decisions. Throughout the movie, he watches the actions of Dementus closely. He understands that Dementus could become a serious threat. This creates tension between the two leaders. Their rivalry affects the entire Westland. The younger version of Furiosa deserves a special mention. Even as a child, she showed grace. She experienced terrible loss at a very young age. Despite this, she refused to surrender. This strength she showed as a child helps explain why she becomes such as a powerful adult later. Many emotional moments in the movie come from seeing what young Furiosa goes through. Furiosa mother is one of the most important people in Furiosa life. She loves her daughter deeply. When Furiosa is kidnapped, she immediately risks everything to rescue her. Her bravery leaves a lasting impact on Furiosa. Even years later, Furiosa remembers her mother's courage. The memory of her mother becomes one of the reasons he never give up. Now, now let us talk about the action scene and the western world of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. One of the biggest reason people enjoy this movie is the action. But this is not the type of action where characters only fight with punish and neck kicks. Most of the action happens through hug vehicles, dangerous road, and massive chases across the desert. The wasteland itself feels like a character is not hot, dry, and cruel, and it is always dangerous. From the beginning of the movie, we see the survival is difficult, water is precious, food is limited, fuel is extremely valuable. Because resources are so rare, people are willing to fight and even die for them. This creates a world where violence is everywhere. One of the first major action moments happens after Furiosa is kidnapped. Her mother allows the kidnappers across the desert. The chase is fast and tense. Vehicles race through Russian dust fills the air. Every second feels important. This sequence immediately show how dangerous has the wasteland can be. Another important thing about the movie is the design of the vehicles. The vehicles are not normal cars. Many of them look like moving machines of war. They are covered with metal. They carry weapons. They are built for survival. Some vehicles are e- enormous. Others are designed for speed. Every vehicle feels unique as Furiosa grows older and starts work with Petrorian Jack. The movie introduce even larger action sequence. The the supply routes between the cattle Ghost Town and the Built Farm are extremely dangerous. Enemy groups attack from different directions. Motorcycle race along giant trucks. Warriors jump between moving vehicles. Drivers must avoid crashes while also defending themselves. This scene creates constant tension. The audience never know where the next attack will come from. One of the most exciting part of the movie is a long convoy battle. A convoy is a group of vehicles traveling together. During this sequence, enemy launch a major attack. Vehicles collide. Explosion fill the desert. People fight while standing one moving machines. Some warriors use ropes and climb from one vehicle to another. The scale of the action feels massive. At the center of the chaos is Furiosa. Instead of panicking, she remains focused. She uses everything she has learned from Praetorian Jack. This helps show how much she has grown since the beginning of the story. The movie also uses the desert environment very well. Sometimes hugs, clouds of dust reduce visibility. Sometimes powerful storms appear. Sometimes the heat itself becomes a threat. The environment is often just as dangerous as the enemies. Another interesting part of the action is that every battle has consequences. When vehicles are damaged, it matters. When supplies are lost, it matters. When people make mistakes, they pay a price. This makes the action feel more realistic and meaningful. The audience understands that survival is never guaranteed. The westland world is divided into important locations. The Green Palace is beautiful and full of life. The kettle controlled by Immortal Joe is one of the strongest locations in the desert. Gaston is important because it produces fuel. The bullet farm is important because it provides weapons and ammunition. These locations depend on each other. Because of this, controlling them becomes extremely important. This is one reason why leaders like Dementus and Immortal Joe constantly fight for power. As the movie moves forward its final chapter, the action becomes larger and more intense. The conflict between major groups grow, more soldiers become involved, more vehicles enter the battle, the stakes become higher. By the end, the wasteland feels like a giant battlefield. Every character is struggling to survive. Every decision becomes important. Every mistake can lead to disaster. The combination of action, world building, and character development is what makes Furiosa a Mad Max saga feel different from many other action movies. The action is exciting, but it also helps tell the story of Furiosa and her journey through one of the hardest words ever shown in a movie. Now, let us talk about the hidden details, connections, and interesting fact of Furiosa and Mad Max Saga. One of the most important things to understand is that this movie is not just an action movie, it is also the original story of Furiosa. When viewers first saw Furiosa, in she was already a powerful warrior. She was confident, skilled, and respected. But many people wondered one thing: how did she become that person? Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, answered that question. The movie show the events that transformed Furiosa from a young girl into the warrior seen later. One hidden detail is the importance of memory. Throughout the movie, Furiosa never forget the Green Palace. Many people in the Westland lose hope. Many people forget who they were before the desert changed their lives. But Furiosa holds on to her memories. Those memories become her strength. They give her a lesson to keep fighting. Another interesting detail in the contrast between Furiosa and Dementus, both characters lost think during their lives. Both experience pain, both want control over their future, however, they respond differently. Furiosa chooses determination, Demetrius chooses power. This different slowly pushes them toward their final conflict. The movie also shows how power works in the Westland. Water equals power, fuel equals power, weapons equal power. People who control resources control everything else. This idea appears throughout the story. That is why palaces like the Keitel, Gaston, and Build Farm are so important. Another hidden detail involves Petrorian Jack. Many fans believe that he helps shape the values of Furiosa. He teaches her discipline, he teaches her patience, he teaches her strategy. Later, these qualities become part of Furiosa's personality. Without Petrolian Jack, she might have become a very different person. The movie also explains why Furiosa is so determined to help others in Fury Road. After experiencing years of suffering, she understands what it means to lose freedom. Because of this, she develops empathy for people trapped by rulers. Another interesting fact is that visual storytelling. The movie often tells parts of the story without many words. Character communicate through action, experience, and decision. This style has always been important in the Mad Max world. Many emotions are shown rather than explained. The desert itself contains symbolism. The wasteland represents hardship, the green palace represents hope. Throughout the movie, Furiosa moves between these two ideas. She lives in the wasteland but dreams of the Green Palace. The, this creates a strong emotional connection for the audience. Another connection to Fury Road is Furiosa reputation. By the end of this movie, she has earned experience, respect, and survival skills. This helps explain why she becomes such an important figure later. The movie also shows that revenge is not the only name. Hope is equally important. Even during her darkest moments, Furiosa continues moving forward because she believes life can be better. This belief separates her from many other characters. One final interesting detail is that the story covers many years of Furiosa life. Because of this, the audience see her grow and change more than almost any other character in the Mad Max universe. We watch her as a child, we watch her as a teenager, we watch her as an adult. Every stage of her life teaches her something new. By the end of the movie, Furiosa is no longer simply surviving, she is becoming a symbol of resilience, courage, and determination. That is why Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, feels much bigger than a simple revenge story. It's the complete journey of a person who loses everything, faces impossible challenges, and still refuses to give up. And that journey eventually leads directly into the events of Mad Max Fury Road. Now let's talk about the character relationship and the emotional moment of Furiosa and Mad Max saga. Many people remembers the movie because of the action, but the emotional side of the story is just as important. Without the emotion, the action would not feel meaningful. The entire story begins with the relationship between Furiosa and her mother. Before the kidnapping, Furiosa lives a peaceful life in the Green Palace. She feels safe. She is surrounded by people who care about her. Her mother loves her deeply and wants to protect her from danger. When Furiosa is taken away, her mother immediately goes after the kidnappers. She know the mission is dangerous. She know that the odds are against her, but she still refuses to abandon her daughter. This is one of the first emotional moments in the movie. Furiosa see how much her mother is willing to sacrifice for her. That memory stay with her for the rest of her life. Even every year later, the influence of her mother can still be seen in her decisions. Another important relationship is between Furiosa and the Green Palace itself. The Green Palace is not just a location. For Furiosa, it represents home, it represents safety, it represents happiness. Whenever life becomes difficult, she remembers the Green Palace. It many ways, her journey is not only about revenge. It is also about trying to reconnect with the life that was stolen from her. One of the strongest relationship in the movie develops between Furiosa and Praetorian Jack. At first, they are simply working together, but as time passes, trust begins to grow. Trust is extremely rare in the Westland. Most people only care about themselves. Most people are focused on survival. Because of this, genius friendship is difficult to find. Praetorian Jack see potential in Furiosa. He recognizes her intelligence, courage, and determination. Instead of treating her as someone weak, he treats her with respect. This becomes very important for Furiosa. For years, she has been surrounded by violence, and currently, having someone who believes in her gives her strength. Their bond grows stronger through shared experience. They face danger together, they survive attacks together, they dream about a better future together. Because of this, many viewers become emotionally attached to their relationship. One reason this scene works so well is that the movie does not trust them. The connection develops slowly and naturally. This makes the emotional moments feel more believable. Another important relationship is between Furiosa and Dementus. This relationship is very different. It's built on pain, it's built on loss, it, it it's built on anger. Dementus is responsible for the event that changes Furiosa's entire life. Because of this, he becomes the focus of her desire for revenge. What makes the relationship interesting is that it lasts for many years. Dementus is not just a enemy he meets once, he becomes a shadow hanging over her entire life. Every painful memory leads back to him, every loss reminds her for him. This is why their final confrontation feels powerful. It's not simply a battle between two people, it's the end of years of suffering and waiting. The movie also explores loneliness. Even when surrounded by people, Furiosa often feels alone. Nobody truly understands where she is came from. Nobody fully understands what she lost. This creates emotional distance between her and world around her. Because of this loneliness, the friendship is from become even more important. Another emotional theme is hope. The Westland constantly tries to destroy hope. Everyday people struggle just to survive. Many characters give up on their dreams. Many characters stop believing in a better future, but Furiosa continues holding on to hope. That hope becomes one of her greatest strengths. It helps her keep moving forward when others would stop. One of the most emotional idea in the movie is that survival alone is not enough. Many people survive in the Westland, but Furiosa wants more than survival. She wants purpose, she wants justice, she wants freedom. These goals give meaning to her journey. By the final part of the movie, viewers understand that Furiosa has been shaped by every relationship in her life. Her mother teaches her love and courage. Praetorian Jack teaches her trust and discipline. Dementus teaches her the cost of country. The Green Palace teaches her the value of hope. All of this influence combine to create the person she becomes. That is why the emotional side of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is so important. The action may be spectacular, but the emotion are what make the story memorable. They turn Furiosa from action hero into a truly unforgettable character. Hello, if you like action movies, then this movie gives you a lot of action from start to finish. But this is not only a action movie, it's also the story of Furiosa and how she becomes one of the strongest character in the Mad Max world. The best thing about this movie is its world. The desert looks hug, dangerous and different from normal movies. Every location feels unique. The green palace, guest town, and the cathedral all have their own identity. The action scenes are amazing. The vehicle chases are very exciting. Many action sequences feel practical and realistic. Instead of depending only on computer effects, the movie makes the action feel real and powerful. The performance of Furiosa is excellent. We see her journey from a young girl to a strong warrior. Because the movie spends a lot of time developing her character, we were becoming emotionally connected to her story. Dementus is also a strong villain. He is dangerous, unpredictable, and sometimes even funny. He is not a simple bad guy. The movie gives him personality and makes him interesting to watch. Another great character is Praetorian Jack is seen with Furiosa are some of the strongest part of the movie. Their relationship adds emotion to the story and gives the audience someone to care about. The cinematography is beautiful. Many shots of the desert look incredible. Some scenes feel like giant paintings become one of the way they are filmed. The background music also works very well during action scene. It increases the excitement during emotional moments. It helps the audience feel the emotions for the characters. However, the movie is not perfect. One thing some viewers may notice is that the movie is longer than Fury Road. Because of this, some middle sections feel slower. The story focuses more on character development and building rather than non-stop action. Some viewers who expect action every minute may find a few scenes slow, but if you enjoy stories about characters and their journey, this will not be a big problem. The movie also spends a lot of time showing the politics and power struggles of the Westland. Some people will enjoy this detail while others may prefer more action. Overall, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is a powerful action adventure movie. It has great action, a strong character, beautiful visual, and a emotional story. My rating would be story 10 of 9, action 10 of 9.5, characters 10 of 9, visuals 10 of 10, music 10 of 8.5, overall 10 of 9. If you are a fan of the Mad Max world, this movie is definitely worth watching. And even if you have never watched a Mad Max movie before, Furiosa is still exciting and entra- and entertaining experience. So, what did I personally like most about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga? For me, the biggest strength of the movie is Furiosa herself. Many action movies have good action but weak characters. In this movie, the action is great, but the character journey is even better. When the movie starts, Furiosa is just a young girl who wants to live peacefully with her family. As the story moves forward, we see her lose almost everything. Because of this, every victory feels important, every success feels earned. The audience spends many years with her character, so it becomes easy to care about what happens to her. Another thing I liked was the villain Dementus. Most villains only want power, but Dementus has a very interesting personality. Sometimes he feels danger, sometimes he feels strange. Sometimes he even say things that make you think about the harsh world around him. This makes him more memorable than many modern movie villains. I also loved the relationship between Furiosa and Praetorian Jack. The movie does not rush their friendship. it grows naturally. Because of that, the emotional moments beautiful them feel much stronger. When something important happening in their story, the audience actually feels the impact. Now let's talk about the action scene or hug. The vehicle chases are some of the best parts of the movie. Instead of feeling repetitive, each major action scene feels different. The movie keeps introduce new dangers, new locations, and new challenges that keeps the excitement alive. The visuals are another highlight. The wasteland looks beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Some scenes look so impressive that they stay in your mind even after the movie ends. The colors, vehicles, customs, and environments all help create a unique world. However, I think some viewers may have one small complaint. The movie track its time telling the story. It's not as fast as Fury Road. Furiosa focus more on storytelling and character development. For some viewer, this is positive thing. For other, it may feel slightly slow in a few sections. Personally, I enjoyed it because it helped me understand Furiosa better. By the word of the movie, I felt that I knew who she was, what she lost, and why she became such an important character. The emotional connection makes the ending more powerful. In conclusion, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is one of the strongest action movie of a recent year. It delivers exciting action, it delivers a strong character, it delivers emotional moment, and it successfully explains the of origin of Furiosa. If you enjoy action movie with a real story behind them, this movie is definitely worthly your time. A powerful journey of survival, revenge, and hope set in one of the most unique world in the modern cinema. But there is one more reason why Furiosa and Mad Max Saga works so well. The movie understands that action alone is not enough. Many action movies give viewer big explosions and loud fights, but after a few days, people forget them. Furiosa is different. The movie gives the audience a reason to care. Every action scene has emotional weight. When Furiosa enters a danger situation, we care because we understand her journey. We know that he has lost. We know what she is fighting for. That makes the action more exciting. Another thing I appreciated was the way the movie builds its world. It the Westland feels alive. Different groups have different goals. Different locations have different importance. Nothing feels random. Everything feels connected. The kettle, kettle, kettle controlled by Immortal Joe. The fuel production of Gaston and the weapons from the blade farm all play important roles. Because of this, the world feels believable. The movie also does a great job showing how power changes people. Dementus begins as a strong leader with a hug army, but as the story continues, we see how this anger for power affects him. His decisions become worse, his control becomes weaker, his confidence slowly turns into arrogance. This makes his character interesting to watch. At the same time, Furiosa grows in the opposite direction. Instead of becoming obsessed with power, she focused on survival and freedom. That contrast between the hero and villain is one of the strongest parts of the movie. I also think the movie deserves praise for its visual storytelling. Many scene communication emotions without long conversation. Sometimes a look on a character face tells the audience everything they need to know. This style makes the movie feel mature and confident. The soundtrack is another positive point. The movie increases the tension during action scene and supports the emotional moment during quieter scene. It never feels out of place. One thing that surprised me was how emotional the movie became. Before watching, some people may expect only action, but the story con- contains loss, friendship, hope, and sacrifice. These themes help the movie stand out from many other action films. By the final act, the audience understands that Furiosa is not simply fighting enemies, she is fighting for her identity, she is fighting for her memories, she is fighting for the future she wants. That makes her journey much more meaningful. Overall, Furiosa a Mad Max saga succeeds as both an action movie and a character story. It expands the Mad Max universe. It gives Furiosa a powerful origin story, and it provides some of the most impressive action sequence seen in recent year. If I had a describe the movie is one sentence, I would say Furiosa is a thrilling, emotional, and visual spectacular journey that proves why Furiosa is one of the greatest character in the Mad Max world. This movie is a prequel of the Mad Max universe, which means it shows events that happens before the Mad Max story. The movie is based on a very dangerous world where everything has collapsed due to a big disaster, and this kind of world is called a post apocalyptic world. In this world, normal life does not exist, and people struggles every day for water, for food, and fuel. It is a chaotic situation where law and order is almost gone, and only powerful people survive. The main character of this movie is Furiosa, who is a young girl but becomes very strong and brave with time. At the beginning of the story, Furiosa is innocent and living a normal life, but suddenly she is taken away from her home through kidnapping. After this moment, her life completely changes. She is forced to enter a very cruel and dangerous environment where powerful groups control everything. One of the main villain is the story is Dementus, who is a very ruthless and powerful leader. He wants control our land, fuel, and people, and he does not show any kidnaps to anyone. Furiosa has to survive in this harsh world where every day is a fight for life. She faces many difficulties and danger situations, and slowly she learns how to stay strong mentally and physically. Her journey is full of pain, fear, and struggles, but at the same time, it builds her character and makes her stronger. This process of staying alive in extreme condition is called survival. Even though she is young, she starts observing everything carefully and learns how enemies think and act. In this world, there is no proper system of government or peace. People fight for basic needs like water and fuel, and this makes the world very dangerous and unstable. This kind of word is also called dystopian because it shows a future where everything has gone wrong. Despite all this, Furiosa still has a small hope inside her heart, and this hope gives her strength to continue moving forward. Hope means expectation, this that something better will happen in the future. As the story begins, we see the Furiosa is not just a victim but truly becomes a fighter. Her journey is not easy because she faces powerful enemies, harsh environments, and emotional pain of losing her home and family. But every situation teaches her something important and prepares her for the future battles she will face. So overall, this movie starts with the original story of Furiosa, and so how a simple girl is forced into a brutal world and slowly begins her transformation into a strong survival. As the story continues in Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, we start seeing how the world becomes even more dangerous and how Furiosa slowly grows from a helpless child into a survivor. After being taken away from her home, she is placed in a brutal environment where powerful guns control different territories. This gang fight with each other for resources like water, fuel, and land. In this world, everything is about power, and the strongest group survivals survives while the weakest gets destroyed. Furiosa is forced to stay in captivity where she has very little freedom. She observes everything carefully and tries to understand how this cruel system works. Even though she is small, she has a very sharp mind. This ability to understand situation quickly is called observation. Slowly, she starts learning how to hide her emotions because showing fear or weakness in this world can be dangerous. During this time, the villain Dementus becomes more powerful. He builds his army and tries to take control over more areas. He is very ambitious, which means he always wants more power and never feels satisfied. Uses fear and violence to control people. Many groups either join him or get destroyed. His leadership is based on fear rather than respect. Furiosa also comes across other groups like the War Boys, who are loyal soldiers of another powerful leader. These War Boys are trained to fight without fear. They believe in glory in battle, even if that means death. This belief is called ideology. In this world, people are brave, brainwashed into thinking that dying for power is something honorable. As Furiosa grows older, she starts planning her survival more carefully. She understands that escaping this world is not easy, so she begins to think long term. This thinking is called strategy. She watches enemy movements, learn their habits, and waits for the right moment to act. This shows her transformation from a scared child to a smart survivor. The environment around her is very harsh. The desert is endless and traveling is extremely difficult. Water is almost valuable thing, even more than gold. People are ready to kill for it. This shows how survival become the main goal of life. The con- constant danger creates a feeling of tension in every moment of the story. At the same time, Furiosa never completely lost. loses hope. Even in darkness, she remembers her past, and the palace is came from this memory becomes a motivation. Motivation means inspiration that pushes a person to keep going even in difficult times. Her dream is to and find freedom again, no matter how long it takes. Demands on the other hand, continues expanding his control. He uses both fear and flash promise to attract people. Some people follow him because they believe he can give them power and safety, but in reality, he only uses them for his own benefit. This show how manipulation works in a broken society. Means cha- manipulation as time passes. Furiosa starts becoming mentally stronger. She learns how to survive without depending on anyone. She understands that in this world trust is very rare. Most people betray each other for survival. This makes her more careful and independence. The story also show many brutal battles between groups. These battles are not just physical fights but also fights for control and identity. Every group wants to prove that they are the strongest. These scenes show how violence has become a normal part of life in this world. Furiosa keeps moving forward in her journey, even when even when everything seems impossible. Her character development becomes stronger with every challenge. She is no longer just a victim. She is slowly becoming someone who can fight back. By the end of this part, we see the Furiosa is still trapped in this dangerous system, but her mind is changing. She is learning, adapting, and preparing herself for a future escape. The story clearly show that her journey is not just about survival but also about becoming powerful enough to take control of her own life. As the story moves forward in Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, we start seeing a major change in Furiosa's life. She is no longer just a silent observer. She begins to understand that survival alone is not enough, and and she must also plan her escape carefully. The world around her becomes more violent and unstable as different groups continue to fight for domination. In this environment, power is everything, and weak people are either used and destroyed. Furiosa spends more time learning how the system works. She studies the behavior of soldiers, leaders, and traders. This careful study of people and situations is called analysis. She realizes that every powerful leader has one weakness, and if she can understand that weakness, she might be able to survive longer or even escape one day. Meanwhile, Demetrius continues expanding his control. His army becomes larger and his influence spreads across more territories. He uses both fear and emotional manipulation to control people. Many followers join him not because they truly believe in him, but because they are afraid of losing their lives. This kind of control through fear is called tyranny. Furiosa also experiences betrayal during this time. People see things she can trust often turn against her for survival or reward. This teaches her an important lesson that true trust is very dangerous in this world. This feeling of being betrayed leads to emotional pain, which can be called trauma. But instead of breaking her, it slowly makes her more careful and stronger. As the grows, Furiosa starts forming small plans to escape. She carefully assesses routes, security patterns, and supply movements. She understands that escaping is not possible through force alone. It requires patience and intelligence. This type of long-term thinking is called planning or strategy. The environment becomes even more dangerous as war between groups increase, explosion, vehicle chases, and desert battle become more normal events. In this world, vehicles are not just transport; they are weapons. This makes survival even harder because danger can come from anywhere at any time. Furiosa also starts showing emotional strength even after facing flaw and loss. She does not give up. She remembers her past and her home, and that memory becomes her inner strength. This inner strength is called resilience. Dementus, on the other hand, becomes more aggressive. His ambition increases and she starts challenging other powerful leaders. His goal is not just survival but completely control. This makes the conflict in the story even bigger as multiple forces start clashing with each other. During this phase, Furiosa begins to understand that waiting forever is not a solution. She lies that at some point she will have to take a risk. This realization marks an important emotional shift in her character. She is no longer just reacting to situations. She is starting to think about changing her destiny. The world around her becomes a symbol of chaos everywhere, wherever decision can mean life or death. Even small mistakes can lead to serious consequence. This constant pressure creates a feeling of un- uncertainty in a life. Despite all this, Furiosa continues to grow mentally and emotionally. She becomes more focused, more silent, and more determined. Her silence is not weakness; it is prepare. She is planning something bigger, even if other cannot see it yet. By the end of this part, we clearly see that Furiosa is changing into someone who is no longer just surviving but slowly preparing to fight back against the system and destroy a life. Her journey is reaches a turning point where survival will soon turn into resistance. As the story continues in Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the situation becomes more intense and the world becomes even more unstable. Furiosa is now fully aware that her life will not change unless she takes a bold step. She has already learned how this brutal system works and now she starts focusing completely on one goal, freedom. This strong desire to break freedom is called determination. At this stage, Furiosa starts noticing small opportunities around her. She careful studies security movements, supply routes, and the behavior of guards. Every detail becomes important for her. Every ability to notice a small but important thing is called attention. She knows that even a single mistake can destroy her, her entire plans, so she remains extremely careful. Meanwhile, Demetrius becomes more powerful but also more unstable. His leadership starts showing cracks because controlling such a large and violent group is not easy. Some of his followers began to doubt him. This situation creates internal conflict, which is called instability. Even even though he is strong, his control is not perfect anymore. Furiosa uses his growing weakness in the system to her advantage. She understands that when powerful groups fight among themselves, it creates chance for escape. This idea of using enemy weakness is called opportunity. She slowly prepares herself for a moment when she can act without being noticed. During this time, she also forms a small connection with people around her, not because she trusts them completely, but because she needs information and support. In this world, relationships are not based on love or trust, but on survival needs. This type of connection is very fragile and temporary. Furiosa also faces moments of extreme danger where she nearly gets caged. These moments test her courage and intelligence, bravery, and she show it by staying calm and even a life-threatening situation. The world outside continue to burn in conflict. Different war groups fight for control over resources and explosions, riots, and chases happen frequently. Vehicles move like weapons across the desert, and every path is dangerous. This constant danger creates a feeling of peril everywhere. Furiosa slowly starts building her escape plan step by step. She understands that rushing will only lead to failure, so he chooses patience. Patience means patience. She waits for the perfect moment and everything against in her favor. At the same time, Dementus tries to strengthen his rule by expanding further. He believes that more power will make him untouchable, but in reality, it only increases his enemies. His ambition continues to grow, but so does the resistance against him. Furiosa begins to feel that a big chance is coming. The tension in the environment is rising, and conflicts between major forces are about to explode into something bigger. She prepare mentally for this shift, knowing that it might be our only chance to escape. This phase of the story is very important because it shows transformation. Furiosa is no longer reacting emotionally; she is acting as strengthly. She is thinking like a fighter, not a victim. This change marks her evolution into a more powerful and independent character. By the end of this part, the story builds strong anticipation that a major event is about to happen. Furiosa is ready. The system is unstable, and Dementus is becoming overconfident. Everything is leading toward a major confrontation and a turning point in her life. As the story of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, moves toward, everything starts building toward a much larger conflict, and Furiosa reaches a stage in her life where she is fully ready to take control of her destiny. The world around her has become even more violent, unstable, and unpredictable, and every group is preparing for a massive clash for power and survival. In this environment, Furiosa understands that waiting longer is not a open anymore because opportunity in this world do not stay for long and can disappear in second. At this point, Furiosa begins to exist her long prepared escape strategy. She carefully studies every movement of guards, every change, and every supply transfer. This deep level of preparation is called calculation, where every small little matters. She know that success depends not on strategy but on timing and intelligence. Even the smallest mistake can lead to failure or death. Susie remains extremely focused on and alert. Meanwhile, Dementus becomes more aggressive and overconfident. His power has grown, but so has his ego. He starts believing that no one can challenge him, and this overconfidence becomes his biggest weakness. This mental state is called arrogance. He continues to expand his influence and attacks other powerful groups, thinking that fear alone will keep him in control. However, this only increased restlessness against him as more enemies began to rise. The environment becomes even more chaotic as la- large scale wars began to take shape. Massive vehicles, battles, explosions, and desert chases become common. These battles are not small fights anymore. They are full-scale wars where entire groups risk everything. The desert becomes a battlefield where survival depends on speed, skill, and strategy. This situation creates extreme violence and tension everywhere. Furiosa, in the middle of all this chaos, final finds the perfect opportunity to act. She understands that the system is distracted by internal wars, and this is the only moment she might get to escape. She carefully prepares her plan, gathers small resources, and chooses the safety possible route. Every decision she makes is calculated and precious. Her mind is full focused on freedom now. At the same time, she also faces emotional challenges. Even though she has become strong, there are there are moments when memories of her past return. These memories remind her of what she lost and what she is fighting for. His emotional pain is called grief, but instead of breaking her, it strengthens her determination even more. She transfers pain into motivation, which pushes her forward. Dementus, unaware of the exact danger coming towards him, continues to push him ambitions further. He tries to dominate more territories and eliminate rivals completely. However, his leadership is becoming unstable because fear alone cannot hold loyalty forever. His followers start questioning his decisions, and cracks began to appear in his empire. Furiosa finally entails or is kept attempt. This is a high dangerous moment because one wrong move can expose her entire plan. She uses her intelligence to move silently through restricted areas, avoiding direct confrontation. Her survival depends on her ability to remain unnoticed. This phase of her journey show her complete transformation from a trapped victim into a calculated survivor. As she moves forward, tension increases rapidly. Guards become alert, system start reacting, and the environment becomes more unpredictable. It feels like the entire world is closing in on her. This feeling is called pressure, where every second becomes critical. During this escape sequence, Furiosa faces situation where she must make a split-second decision. These decisions determine whether she lives or gets captured again. Her courage is tested at the highest level, and she proves that she is no longer the same person who was taken away into beginning. She is now stronger, smarter, and far more dangerous to her enemies. As events es- escalated, the path begins to lead toward a direct clash between Furiosa and the forces controlled by Dementus. This confrontation is not just physical but symbolic, representing freedom versus control, hope versus fear, and survival versus domination. By the end of this part, the story reaches a critical turning point for Furiosa. Furiosa is standing at the edge of freedom, but the final challenge is still iced. Dementos is still powerful, the world is still dangerous, and nothing is granted. However, one thing is clear now: Furiosa is no longer running away as a helpless girl. She is stepping forward as someone ready to fight for her freedom, no matter the cost. As the story continues in Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, the tension reaches an extreme level as Furiosa moves deeper into her escape journey. The environment becomes even more dangerous, and every step she takes feels like it could be her last. The world is now completely filled with conflict, where different armies and gangs are clashing continuously for control. In this situation, survival becomes more difficult than ever before, and even a small mistake can lead to capture or death. Furiosa carefully moves through restricted zones while avoiding enemy patrols. She uses silence, patience, and awareness as her main roles. This ability to move without being noticed is called st- stealth. She understands that direct confrontation is not an option right now. So if focus completely on avoiding attention and stay hidden. At the same time, Dementus is preparing for a major expansion of his power. He believes that is the moment to dominate everything, but his decisions are becoming more emotional and less logical. This lack of clear thinking is called imp- impulsiveness. She starts making rushed decisions that increases chaos in his own army as well. For Furiosa uses is growing chaos to move forward. She understands that when powerful leaders become unstable, their system weakness automatically. These gives her small windows of opportunity to escape dangerous areas. These opportunities are rare and unpredictable, so she must act quickly whenever they appear. During her journey, she faces multiple near capture situations. In one moment, she is almost discovered by guard, but she managed to escape at the last second. These moments increase the intensity of the story and show how close danger is at every step. This feeling of extreme danger is called critical situation. Furiosa also experiences physical exhaustion as she continues her escape. The harsh desert environment drains her energy, and lack of water and rest makes survival even harder. Despite this, she keeps pushing forward because she knows stopping is not an option. This shows her strong endure, endurance. As the conflict between groups increases, larger scale battles begin to erupt across the wasteland. Vehicles crash, explosions shake the desert, and armies collide with each other. This creates total chaos where no palace is truly safe. The entire world feels like it is collapsing again into completely destruction. Furiosa begins to understand that she is not just escaping physically but mentally breaking free from fear. Early, she used to act out of fear, but now she acts out of purpose. This change represents her transformation into a strong identity where she controls her action instead of reacting emotionally. Meanwhile, Demetrius becomes more aggressive and unpredictable. His empire starts showing signs of internal collapse because his leadership is based on fear, not loyalty. Some of his followers began to abandon him, while others secretly plan against him. This internal breakdown is called disintegration. Furiosa slowly gets closer to the final stage of her escape route. Every step now feels like she is approaching either freedom or failure. The tension increases because both outcomes are possible. This uncertainty makes the situation even more intense. She also starts realizing that her journey is not only about escaping captivity but also about reclaiming her identity. Her past, her pain, and her struggles have shaped her into someone completely different. She is no longer just a survivor, she is becoming a symbol of resistance. As the story moves toward its peak, the conflict between Furiosa and Dementus becomes inevitable. Their paths are now heading toward a direct confrontation. This is not just a physical battle but also a clash of ideology, freedom versus control, courage versus fear, and hope versus destruction. By the end of this part, everything is set for the final turning point. Furiosa stands at the edge of freedom, but the final challenge still remains. The world is unstable, enemies are everywhere, and Dementus is still dangerous. However, Furiosa is now fully transformed into a determined fighter who is ready to face everything for her survival and freedom. As the story of Furiosa and Mad Max Saga reaches its final phase, everything becomes more intense, dangerous, and emotionally powerful. Furiosa is now very close to freedom, but the final part of her journey is the most difficult one. The world around her the world around her is collapsing into full scale war where every group is fighting for survival and domination. The desert is no longer just a wasteland. It has become a complete battlefield where destruction is happening everywhere. Furiosa continues her escape with full focus. She is now experienced, smart, and highly alert. Every move she makes is based on logic and timing. This reveal of awareness is called precision, where every action is carefully controlled. She knows that even a small ladly or mistake can bring everything to and so she moves with extreme caution while avoiding all enemy detection. At the same time, Demetrius is preparing for what he believes will be his final victory. He tries to gather all his remaining power and forces, but but ent- entering his empire is already breaking apart. His followers are not longer fully loyal, and fear is not enough to control them anymore. This situation show the collapse of authority called breakdown. Furiosa reaches a point where she is forced to face extremely dangerous obstacles. The escape path is not smooth anymore. It is full of enemies, traps, and violence classes happening all around. She has to make quick decisions under pressure. These decisions are often life or death situation where there is no time to think quick. During this phase, she also show her full transformation. Early she was a victim of criticism, but now she is actually shaping her own destiny. This change represents completely empowerment. She is no longer running just to survive, she is moving forward with purpose and control. Meanwhile, Dementus tries to stop her escape as she realizes that her disappearance would be a sign of weakness for his rule. He orders his force to track and capture her at any cost. However, because of internal conflicts and betrayal within his own group, his control becomes weaker and less effective. Furiosa enters the final stretch of her journey where danger is at its peak. The environment is filled with chaos, explosions, and constant movement for vehicles. The desert looks like it is burning with conflict from every direction. This extreme condition creates a sense of total dis- dis- desperation among all sides. In this final phase, Furiosa also faces emotional closure. She remembers everything she lost: her home, her childhood, and her innocence. But instead of breaking down, she uses these memories as strength. This emotional strength is called resolve. It pushes her to continue forward no matter it happens. As she moves closer to her final destination, the confrontation between Furiosa and Dementus becomes unavoidable. Her path finally crosses in a way that leads to a direct and intense clash. This moment represents the ul- ultimate conflict of the story, where everything built up throughout the film comes together. Dementus, despite his remaining power, is no longer as stable or confident as before. His ambition has led him into chaos, and his control over people is weak, weakening rapidly. Furiosa, on the other hand, is fully prepared, focused, and mentally strong. The difference between them is now very clear. One is collapsing from within, and other is rising from a struggle. The final confrontation show the complete contrast between them. Dementus represents control through fear and destruction, while Furiosa represents survival, intelligence, and freedom. This ideological clash makes the final moment of the story even more powerful and meaningful. By the end of this part, Furiosa completes a transformation. She is no longer the kidnapped child who lost everything. She has become a survivor who understands the world and knows how to fight back. Her journey from weakness to strength is complete, complete. The story concludes with the idea that even in a broken and chaotic world, determination and courage can lead to freedom. Furiosa stands as a symbol of resilience, showing that no matter how difficult the situation is, a person can still rise, surviving, and take control of their own destiny. As the story of Furiosa and Max Saga reaches its final conclusion, the atmosphere becomes completely intense and emotionally heavy. Furiosa is now standing at the edge of her final destiny, where everything she has gone. A story finally comes together. The wasteland around her is still full of chaos, but inside her there is clarity and focus. She is no longer confused or scared. She is fully awareness of who she is, she is and what she must do. The final confrontation between Furiosa and Dementus reaches its peak. Dementus, who once believed she was unstoppable, is now facing the consequence of his own decisions. His empire is collapsing, his followers are turning away, and his control is disappearing. This situation shows the result of our confidence and poor leadership, which can be called downfall. Furiosa one on the one Furiosa, on the other hand, stands completely different from when she starts her journey. She has gone through pain, loss, fear, and extreme survival situation, but all of this has made her strong instead of breaking her. She now represents strength and determination. Every step she takes in his final moment is calm, controlled, and purposeful. In the final moments of conflict, she struggle between them is not just physical but also symbolic. Dementus represents a world ruled by fear, control, and destruction, while Furiosa represents hope, survival, and freedom. A symbolic battle is called ideological conflict. As the final confrontation unfolds, everything becomes extremely unstable. The environment is filled with destruction, explosion, and collapsing system. The wasteland is itself feels like it is reacting to the end of, of this long struggle. Every action is this moment feels final and irreversible Furiosa uses everything she has learned throughout his journey, her intelligence, patience, and survival instincts. She does not act out of emotion anymore. She acts with complete awareness. This reveal of control is called composure. Dementus, despite his remaining strength, is no longer able to maintain control over the situation. This fear-based leadership has completely failed, and even his own people no longer fully trust him. This show how fear alone cannot sustain power forever. The final outcome of the conflict leads to the complete transformation of Furiosa. She is no longer a victim of cir- circulum, circumstance. She is now someone who has survived the worst possible condition and come out stronger. His journey represents a full cycle from possible condition and come out strong. Her journey represents a full cycle from loss to survival, full from fear to courage, and from captivity to freedom. As the story ends, Furiosa becomes a symbol of re- resilience and survival in a broken world. Her life shows that even in the most destructive environment, a person can still find strength within themselves to rise above everything. This message is one of the most powerful parts of the movie. The ending of Furiosa and Mad Max Saga is not just about victory or defeat, it's about transformation. It shows how suffering and struggles can shape someone into a completely new person. Furiosa's journey teaches that true strength is not just physical power but mental endurance, patience, and the while to never give up. In conclusion, this movie delivers a deep message that even in a world filled with chaos and destruction, hope and determination can still survive. Furiosa stands as proof that no matter how dark the situation becomes, there is always a path forward to those who refuse to give up. As the story of Furiosa and Mad Max Saga comes to its final warp up, the movie shifts from action and conflict to a more reflective and meaningful ending. After all the chaos, battles, and survival struggles, Furiosa finally reaches a point where her journey is complete in a deeper sense. She is no longer the lost child who was taken from her home. She is now a fully transformed survivor who understands the harsh reality of the world. The final moments show that even though the external world is still broken and full of destruction, Furiosa has achieved something personal and powerful: freedom from fear. His emotional freedom is called liberation. It means she is no longer controlled by her past trauma or the people who once dominated her life. The downfall of Dementus becomes a symbol of how unchecked ambition leads to destruction. His anti-rise and fall show that power built on fear and violence cannot last forever. His character represents a system where control is temporary and eventually it collapses under its own weight. This idea is called inevitable collapse. Furiosa is contrast represents survival through intelligence, patience, and inner strength. Her journey shows that true power does not come from dominating others but from overcoming personal suffering. This transformation is the core message of the film. In the final emotional tone of the movie, there is a scene of both sadness and hope. Sadness comes from the loss she experienced throughout her life, and hope comes from the fact that she still managed to survive and rebuild herself. This balance of emotions is called bittersweet ending. Furiosa stands as a symbol of resilience, which means its ability to recover from extreme difficulty. The entire journey proves that even in a world that is completely broken, human strength and determination can still create meaning and distraction. The film ends by showing that her past does not define her anymore. Instead, a choice and actions define who she has become. This message is very important because it shows personal growth and self empowerment. Overall, Furiosa and Mad Max Saga is not just an action movie but also a story about survival, identity, and transformation. It shows how a person can rise from extreme suffering and still become strong enough to face the world. In conclusion, Furiosa becomes more than just a character; she becomes a representation of in a destroyed world. Her journey teaches that no matter how difficult life becomes, determination, courage, and intelligence can help a person survive and rebuild their identity. As the story fully closes in Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, the movie leaves the audience with a strong final impression of transformation, survival, and meaning. After everything that has happened, Furiosa is no longer defined by the pain of her past, but by the strength she has built through it. The wasteland around her still exists, still broken and hurts, but her inner world has completely changed. Furiosa now represents a new kind of human spirit that does not give up even in the even in the worst condition. The quality is called pres- pres- perseverance. It means continue forward no matter how many failures, losses, or danger come in the way. Her entire journey proves that survival is not just about physical strength but also about mental endurance and emotional control. The story also highlights how systems of power eventually destroy themselves when they are built on fear and violence. Reventus becomes a final example of the truth. His rise was based on control and aggression, but his fall comes from the same instability he created in another. This cycle is called self destruction. Furiosa, however, break this cycle. Instead of repeating the same path of violence, she chooses survival with awareness and purpose. She does not seek unnecessary destruction, instead, she focuses on freedom and identity. This makes his journey different and meaningful compared to the world around her. The emotional tune of the ending remains powerful because it does not show a perfect world or a perfect victory. Instead, it shows reality where pain still exists but strength can still be found. This realistic feeling is called realism. Furiosa stands a reminder that even in the darkest environments, a person can rebuild themselves through experience and struggle. Her transformation is complete not because the world has changed but because she has changed internally. This inner change is most important part of the story. The movie also gives a deeper message that identity is not something you are born with but something you create through your action and choices. Furiosa starts as a victim of circumstance but ends as someone who controls her own path. This idea is called self creation. In the final reflection of the story, the wasteland remains harsh and unforgiving, but Furiosa presence in it is now different. She is no longer someone who is simply trying to survive. Is She is someone who has learned how to exist in that world with strength and clarity. In conclusion, Furiosa Ahmed Saga delivers a powerful story about pain, survival, and transformation. It shows that even in a destroyed world, human determination can create meaning, and a person can rise above their circulation to becoming something stronger than before. Furiosa becomes a lasting symbol of hope, resilience, and survival, proving that no matter how broken the world is, the human spirit can still endure and evolve. As we reach the final concluding layer of Furiosa Amad Saga, the story fully settles into its its ultimate message and reflection. After all the action, struggle and emotional journey, what remains is the lasting impact of Furiosa transformation. The movie does not just end as a simple story of escape, but as a deeper reflection on what it means to survive in a broken world. Furiosa has now completely evolved from a powerless child into a highly independent, the mental strong individual. The transformations show the power of adaptation. She has learned how to adjust to extreme environments, unpredictable enemies, and con- constant constant danger without losing her inner identity. The world of the movie continue to remain hers and unstable, but Furiosa is no longer affected in the same way. She now understands the system, the people, and the nature of survival. This awareness give her a sense of control even in chaos. This mental clarity is called awareness. The downfall of Dementus also serves as a final reminder of the difference between power and wisdom. He represents raw ambition without balance, while Furiosa represents growth through suffering and learning. His failures show that without understanding and discipline, power eventually collapses. This idea is known as lesson of consequence. Furiosa, on the other hand, does not seek unnecessary domination or revenge. Instead, she focuses on survival and moving forward. This show emotional maturity, which is called maturity. It means thinking beyond anger and focusing on long-term strength. The movie final message is deeply connected to human experience. It shows that life can be extremely difficult, unpredictable, and even unfair, but a person still has the ability to choose how they respond. This idea of personal control is called agency. Furiosa journey is also a symbol of hope in a destroyed world. Even though the environment around her remains broken, she proves that internal strength can still exist. This contrast between outer chaos and inner strength is one of the most important themes of the film. In the final reflection, we understand that the story is not just about escaping a villain or surviving battles. It's about rebuilding identity through pain, loss, and experience. Furiosa becomes someone who is saved by her journey, not destroyed by it. The Westland, which once represented fear and helplessness, now become a palace where she has learned how to survive and grow. This shift in perception is very important because it shows how perspective that change reality. In conclusion, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is a powerful cinematic journey that focuses on transformation, resilience, and the strength of human. While it teaches that even in the most extreme condition, a person can still rise, adapt, and find meaning in survival. Furiosa stands as a final symbol of endurance, showing showing that no matter how harsh the world become, the human spirit has the power to continue, evolve, and never completely break. Al- As the story of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, continue forward its deepest conclusion, the overall meaning of the film becomes more clear and powerful. At the stage, the movie is no longer only about characters and events, but about the larger idea of how human beings survive, change, and rebuild themselves in extreme condition. This wasteland is still present, filled with danger and destruction, but now it also become a symbol of endurance and learning. Furiosa represent a complete journey of transformation. She starts as a powerless child who is taken away from her home and forced into a cruel system. But over time, through fine fear and constant struggle, she develops into a strong and independent survivor. This kind of deep change is personality and mindset is called meta metamorphosis. It shows how a person can completely evolve when life forces them into extreme situation. In this world, every experience become a lesson. Furiosa learn not only how to fight or escape, but also how to understand people, predict danger, and instrumentally stable in chaos. This ability to remain stable under pressure is called mental strength. Without this, survival in such a world would be impossible. The downfall of Dementus becomes even more meaningful when we look at the bigger picture. His characters show that uncontrolled ambition, violence, and ego eventually lead to collapse. Even though he gained power for a time, he cannot maintain it because it is not built on trust or stability. This process is called in, inevitable failure. His journey contrasts sharply with Furiosa path, highlighting two different outcomes of power destruction versus growth. Furiosa, instead of following the same path of violence, chooses a different direction. She does not become like the people who hurt her. This is a very important part of her character development because it shows self-control. It means she has the ability to choose her action rather than being controlled by any anger or revenge. The world around her continue to reflect chaos. Groups still fight for resources and survival means difficult for everyone. But Furiosa perspective has changed. She no longer see the world only as a palace of fear, but as a place where she has learned how to exist and move forward. This change in thinking is called perspective shift. One of the strongest messages of the movie is the pain can either destroy a person or build them. In Furiosa case, pain become a source of strength. Every loss, every betrayal, and every struggle contribute to her growth. This process is called resilience building. Dementus, however, represents the opposite path. The choice show that when power is used without responsibility, it leads to destruction. Is story act as a warning that leadership without balance and humanity cannot survive in the long time. As the film moves toward its final reflection, we understand that Furisa's journey is not just physical but deeply emotional and physical. She has gone through fear, loneliness, survival pressure, and constant danger, yet she still finds a way to continue this continuous ability to move forward despite difficulties is called and endurance. Furiosa becomes a symbol of hope not because her world become perfect, but because she learned how to survive within imperfection. This is an important idea because it shows that hope does not always means escaping problems. Sometimes it means learning how to live through them. In conclusion, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, deliver a powerful and meaningful message about human strength, survival, and transformation. It shows that even in the most destroyed and chaotic world, a person can still grow, learn the chance their destiny through courage and determination. Furiosa stands as the final example of this trust, proving that no matter how hard life becomes, the human spirit has the ability to rise, adapt, and continue moving forward. So, friends, this was my review of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. In my opinion, this movie is not only about action and fights, but also about courage, survival, and never give up. Furiosa teaches us that no matter how difficult life becomes, we should keep moving forward and stay strong. The action scene, the world building, and the journey of Furiosa make this movie very interesting and exciting to watch. If you like action, adventure, and powerful character, then this movie is definitely worth watching. Thank you everyone for listening to my precision. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day.